Welcome to Live Stream with Lori. I am, as always, super excited to get with you guys tonight and talk about all things manifesting and give you some manifesting love, some manifesting mojo. Tonight we're talking about the infinite power of decision. It is a big deal tonight, and I'm super excited to get with you. I'm so happy you're here. I hope this topic moves you tonight, because we forget, about the power of our own choice, the power of our own decisions. And I have some things to share with you tonight. 7 great things that I hope move you a little bit, inspire you, and really help you to open up that manifestation gateway, because as you guys know, everything is energy and it's all a frequency. Everything that I do is based on vibration and frequency and alignment, and decision is not apart from that. We would think that it has everything to do with very a cerebral process, but not so much. It does in ways, but what I want to talk to you about tonight is not that. It is energetic. It's a frequency. It's a come from. It supports you in your journey, and I want to highlight some things why it's important to stand in this infinite, amazing power of choice and of decision. And as creators and as a powerful manifestors, why it's so important to be here more often than not, as I always like to say. So I just want to take a moment and welcome you if you are new to me. I'm Lori Hamann, and I created this group, well, I guess it's kind of a forum, so to speak, but I created this space back in 2014, and it's really a amazing family, amazing soul circle of like-minded spiritual warriors who want to create their reality, who want to go the distance, who want to, really create motion and change and transformation in their life and in their dreams and desires. And so we are one big happy family. So I've been doing this, you guys, for a very long time. So while I created the M100 back in 2014-ish, I believe, I've been coaching since I've been, just kind of a baby. And I'm going to tell you more about that story as we go tonight, because as you can imagine, my decision to be a coach was a big deal, and I really want to share with you part of my journey around that. And it really required me to pull up my bootstraps, so to speak, and create something that I didn't think that I could create. So back in 1997, I had just graduated from my master's degree in in counseling, and I was doing social work, and I was doing intensive in-home therapy, and I was chasing tail, and back then, and I have 4 kids, you guys, but back then I was just busy doing social work and counseling and in-home therapy, and this industry called coaching came on the scene. And I was trained by Thomas Leonard back in the day, and I remember people saying, what's a coach? This is 1997. And so I spent a whole bunch of years defining not only myself, but really defining myself in an industry that wasn't really so defined. And I spun my wheels, and I dug myself in, and I said, I'm in for the ride. I'm in for the ride, because what I know is I'm called to help people transform their lives in a way that didn't necessarily look like sitting in a counseling office. And while I have so much respect for how I grew myself during those years, my mission was always this. And so for many years, you guys, I don't tell this story too often, but for many years, I worked as that social worker, I worked as that therapist, and on the side, I was coaching. I was coaching at night, I was leading workshops. My day job had me come in for seminars to teach them, to do mindfulness seminars, etc., etc. And so I would go into my work, and they'd say, well, the coach is on board, do the brown bag lunch for us, right? So I would put on seminars for them, and I would talk about law of attraction, which was really new back then. So fast forward though, I was in that particular position for a very long time. And while I built my coaching practice during those years, and I built my community, and while I wrote about 1,000 newsletters, and I had my babies, there was a time that I knew that I needed to make a decision to make the leap and move from therapy world and social work world into this very unknown territory called my mission, my purpose. And up until then, and I had really grown, to be honest. Like, I was kind of sometimes doing better in my practice, in my coaching practice, than I was doing as a social worker. But there were all kinds of things. The universe was sending me all kinds of challenges with that work, including changing my job description. And suddenly, the job description, instead of social work and therapy, suddenly looked more like Child Protective Services. And my work said, your job is going to change. You're going to do more of a Child Protective Service role. And your first mission is going to go to the home of somebody that was kind of on the dangerous side. And I said, I don't want to go into the home of somebody who's kind of dangerous. And they said, well, we'll send a police escort with you the first time. And I said, but I don't want to go into the home of somebody who's dangerous. And they said, the job changed and you have to do this now. We have a new contract with the county, and and so things had changed. And I literally was like, I did not sign up for this. And truth be told, I was still coaching, and I had spent a lot of years, you guys, not making the decision to be like a full-time focus only on coaching coach. And why did I not make the decision? Because I was afraid, because I was tired, because I got insurance through my job, because the list goes on and on, because it appeared like it was secure, right? Which was a complete illusion, because by the time the universe sent me my job description change to go into the house of not safe people anymore, I literally was working there it was 10 hours a week. And when I really looked at it, I am like, I am working 10 hours a week in this position. What am I clinging to? What is going on? Like, why am I not making the decision to leap as a coach? And it was really interesting for me. And I'm always the observer of self. So what you always get from you guys is I'm a very good observer of self. I'm always looking at like what my mind is doing and what my ego is doing and the tricks I'm playing on myself to stay safe. Because I'm human, and that's how it goes. We have to be the observer of self so we can make the change. And so I literally remember sitting in my office one day in an argument, in a back and forth a bit with my then partner. And I said, I can't do this anymore. I can't go into the house of not safe people. That is not my mission. And I only work 10 hours. And so there was the challenge of trying to make this decision and not necessarily getting the support that I wanted in that moment. And I literally just said, I have to make the decision. But here's the thing. I made the decision because I was scared. I was afraid. I didn't want to go into the house. I didn't want my job to change to Child Protective Services. I didn't feel like that was my mission. Although I was in therapy, it was a little different. And so I was like, I cannot need police escorts for my job description. That is not okay with me. That is not okay with me. And I'm 10 hours. And so the universe was like, listen, sister, if you're not going to go on your own and do the really big mission we have for you, we're going to have to make it a little bit harder. And it's going to get a little bit more uncomfortable. And so here's the challenge. And so that next week, I finally made the decision. And it was within months after that. It was just months. I had tripled my income. I had landed in 6-figure coach arena, whereas it always felt so far out of reach for me, to be doing what I love, making an income that supported my family. And I went so many years, it almost makes me cry almost. I went so many years not making that decision because I didn't think I was good enough, or I didn't think that I could count on myself to make it work. And that was, I don't know, 10, 12, something. I don't even know actually the date, but like many years ago. And I realized, like, if I don't make the decision for myself, I spend a whole bunch of time doing what I'm not supposed to do. And there is a very specific cost of indecision, even when it stems from like your own sense of fear or your unworthiness or your not good enoughness or whatever is fueling that indecision. But I want you guys to feel into this. When you make clear, specific decisions from an aligned place, it's like done deal, right? I am quitting. I remember walking the hill with my mom when I was in this mess, when I actually made the leap to go from my security of 10 hours a week. What a joke, right? My security, my illusion of 10 hours a week, be like, what is that? And getting my job description changed to this done dealness. I'm done. I'm quitting. Universe, it's time. I rally. And I remember walking the hill with my mom trying to process this. And I'm going, Mom, they want to send me into a house. And the guy has a record of strangling people. And I am going there. And I am not going there. And so I remember walking the hill with her several times that week. And her just giving me everything that I needed and held such a space for me to walk away and do what was right for me finally. You know, and I'm not saying that the first 10 years I cut my teeth on social work and therapy. I mean, I learned some good things, and some of the insights that I have for you guys come directly from that work. And I'm good at what I do because I have layers of experience and I get it. However, I could not make that decision. I could not make that decision for the life of me until it got to be where I had to make that decision. And what's really interesting is I tend to rinse and repeat that pattern. I'm getting better. I'm getting better at like, I'm going to decide because I can, because I hold myself as that valuable. And so I want to hold a space for you guys tonight to feel into the power of decision. So, and you know what? Sometimes it's a decision that we have to make when we like leap off into, you know, transformation, or it's a decision that we have to make when we, you know, are changing the face of what our life looks like. Sometimes it's a big decision that we have to make. And maybe it is to put yourself first, you know, when you're on the cusp of a major transformation in any way, shape, or form, in love, in joy, in purpose, in your health, in your freedom, in your money, in your all of the realms. But we are offered really and given choice every single day, and we talk ourselves out of it. And when you really, really get clear on the power of decision, like you have infinite choice to do it your way because you can, it's like life-changing. And so somehow, some way, we were not taught this. Somehow, some way, we were taught that every decision is hard to make, and every decision comes with like 1,000 conditions, and every decision might affect somebody else, and every decision, you know, could have a ripple effect of bad. True story. Anyone feel that way? Anyone have this where you sit on this like cusp? I need to make this decision for my life and I am stuck here because fill in the blank, right? I mean, it's mind-blowing. So, but I want you to feel into indecision or decision that you feel like powerless in making, because that's a frequency. You know, I teach in frequency, I teach in energy, I teach in universal law, but I want you to feel into this for a second. Like indecision feels like what to you? Put that down in the chat for me. What does indecision feel like to you? It's a vibration, it's a frequency, right? It's doubt, it's negative chatter, it's uncertainty, it's scarcity, it's standing in your unworthiness, it's a vibrational match to your not enoughness, actually. You know, and I want to give you all permission to freaking quit the job and find something else because you can. And I waited way too long to go big with standing in my power as a coach. And the universe is kind of like this. My guidance is like, honey, I don't know what you're waiting for because we've given you every single sign possible. Like, you pretty much have replaced your income and you're still staying for 10 hours a week. What's up with that? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm scared. And they go, here, I guess we'll give you some conflict. I guess if you need to be pushed out of the nest, little bird, I guess we'll push you out of the nest. Okay? And sometimes we get to the point where it's just uncomfortable, but it is what it is. You know what? And it got me here. Okay? Some of you will stay even through the depths of the misalignment that comes even from, I've got to do something that I absolutely don't want to do, but I have to. Some of you will stay there. And I really want to support you in making the changes you need to make and making the decisions that you need to make for yourself today so that your future, so that the rest of your future gets to be what you want it to be. Whether we have one life or many lives, it doesn't matter. You have this existence and it matters. It matters. So I understand. I have done lack of decision. I have been in indecision. I've been in the frequency of not enoughness and the frequency of scarcity and the negative chatter and the doubt and the non-belief in myself more than I want to admit in my lifetime. But the truth is that we learn through all of it. And when you learn to really make decisions for what you need to do for yourself on the head of a pin, you become an incredible manifester. And decision, I mean, you have to know you're at choice, right? So we'll just take that off the table. But decision is a powerful frequency that says not only yes to the universe, this is it, okay? There is no gray here. It is this. This is what I want it to look like. Absolutely no settling. This is it. I don't know if I could be more clear. And so when you start making decisions on the head of a pin, as I like to say sometimes, when you start making decisions that are that clear, the universe starts sending you opportunities that are also that clear. Okay? So the minute, and I promise you guys, I mean, we all want 5 things: love, joy, purpose, health, freedom. Well, freedom is the money. And I was terrified that I would not be able to replace my social worker income, even though I had already replaced my social worker income. Isn't that something? I mean, the noise, right? The noise of that. And literally, it was the fall. It was August of whatever year, 10 or 12 years ago, something like that. It was that fall. I quit my job. I was so stressed out. I was covered in hives. And I would wake up at night, this is kind of like something else, but I would wake up at night and I would have scratched my back to the point where I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, I'm scratching myself literally to the point of blood on my pajamas. And I'm like, oh my God. But I had these itchy hives everywhere. I boarded a plane. I took off to North Carolina to learn everything that I needed to know to structure and make an impact through my business. And I came back from that adventure a whole new person because I gave back to myself and I took a deep dive. And I came back from that adventure and I had the most profound coaching experience. And I stepped up, and within 3 months I had tripled my income and I was off and running. And it was like I've not ever looked back. And it came because the universe pushed me to a decision. But I want to have you be really conscious, you don't have to live through all that. I did all that already. And then I did it again, and I did it again and again and again. I did it through my life to the point where I know, I need to decide. But even before I make decisions, and this is where the 7 things I'm going to tell you guys tonight, but even before I made decisions, the big decisions, right? The big life decisions. Even before that, I had to decide some things that are even more important than the decisions themselves, okay? So even more important than leaving the job, even more important than the transition that you want to make. There are even decisions before that I think are important for you to know. So is this resonating, you guys? Is this resonating? And I also want to say, if this resonates with you, give me a thumbs up and some hearts. But if this resonates with you and you want to explore working together and you want to explore deeper dive and you want to explore the alignment practices that I teach in my programming, please let me know. All you have to do is drop a hashtag me in the chat below, because I will reach out and we can have a conversation about how you can let this move you forward. So if you are moved by this, you guys, let me know. I really would love to have a conversation. And by the way, in addition to that, stay to the end because I have some great things to tell you. I should have said this in the beginning, but I didn't because I was so excited to talk about this topic tonight. But stay to the end because I have a huge thing coming very soon. So that, all right, Victoria, hi darling. Aw, hi, you love this. Oh, my little synchronicity sister right now. Victoria and I had like such a big synchronicity together over the weekend. Victoria, if you give me permission to tell that story, we should tell it. It was really amazing. Maybe we'll tell it on next live stream because I think you'll probably say it's okay. So, hey, Tressavern, hello. All right, so back to this decision space, right? All right. I had some holes in my decision-making you're saying yes, of course? Okay, next week, I'm telling you guys, the Victoria and Lori story. That's going down next week, next Monday. So, so back to decision. It's powerful stuff, you know, and I just want you to feel into the frequency of indecision, right? And then I want you to feel into the frequency of decision. And if you've ever made a decision of any kind from the depths of your soul, what did it feel like? I have two words. It feels like done deal. And when you make a decision from the depths of your soul and it says done deal, I don't know about you, but so much energy moves and you are like so powerfully ready to take the next alignment, the next transformation, the next leap in your life. It is profound to me. So you take this one little concept in this manifesting work, right? This one little concept, you take that and you go, I can walk through massive gateways in my life and you don't have to rinse and repeat all my mistakes and stay way too long anywhere or stay in indecision or not take the leap into something you really want to do. Like, you get to decide. But before you do, I want to talk to you about some things. I actually looked back at my own life and I said, you know, what's important for me to decide? So I want to almost remind you of some of the things you get to decide. Ready for this? Is this resonating with you guys? Who wants to hear the things that you got to start with? Come on in. Hello. Hello, Erin. You were just thinking of the story. Okay, so Erin's privy to the story, but yes, you guys are going to get the story next week. This is like anticipation. This is like soap opera, right? Okay. You guys want to hear this? Yes, done deal on a soul level. That's right, Beverly Bennett. All right, so the things that you can decide upon, especially when you feel like you can't decide. Anyone in this room feel like they need to make a decision and it's really hard right now? Or they feel like they need to make a decision and they know that they're holding back their manifesting or their journey or their unfolding, everything. Anyone here in this room know this? So I want you to write this down, okay? Number one, this is me, this is Lori, and doing Lori is I'm stating the obvious, because I like to state the obvious because sometimes it's just ridiculous and we need to, but I decide that I decide. So you have to make a decision right now. That's like this obviousness. Make a decision, and if you would write it in the chat to like activate that for yourself, I would love that, and activate it for the rest of the group, that would be awesome. I decide. It's my decision that I now make my decisions 100% moving forward for the rest of my eternity. That's how it's going down. Why? Because I can. Why? Because I was born to. I decide. So it's like I'm gonna decide to get into cutting edge certainty with my vibration right now, and I'm gonna own it. You know how I talk to you guys in these live streams all about owning it and standing in the frequency of your goddess self, your spiritual warrior self, like spiritual warriors, goddesses. We decide. We say so. So I decide. I want every single one of you to write it down in the chat right now because it's important, because you own that stuff. And when you start owning it, it gets easier to do things like walk out of a job that's not serving you, or go find one that does and then walk out of the job that serves you. Or decide and line up so powerfully that you can do that big change. You can invest in your future and in your life and say, it's time for me actually to do the thing that I want to do. Maybe you want to make the money that you want to make. Maybe it's time for you to change your relationship. Maybe it's time for you to manifest love in your life. Maybe it's time for you to stand in your purpose and do this thing that you've always wanted to do and get outside of that cubicle that you've been sitting behind. Maybe it's time for you to be a healer. I know the feeling, right? Maybe. So I decide that I decide. That's how it's going down. That's number one. And if you don't open that gate, the rest of them won't work for you. Okay? So get in it, guys. Get in it. It's important. This is a choice. This is an energy of decision. Do you feel me? So the next one, write this down. I decide, of course, stating the obvious, who I want to be. I decide who I want to be. Me. I decide who I want to be. I decide who I am. And nobody else gets to say, nobody else gets to influence. You can hear some boundaries in here, right? You hear some standards, you're raising your standards, but like I decide who I want to be. And I want to have you guys right now draw up for a second. And this is a really deep class tonight. I want you to draw up for a second the vision of yourself and who you're becoming. And you get to decide if you are that person or not. I got to decide, and the universe did push me out of the nest. But I did in that moment say, I could either rise or not. I mean, I could have instead gone and worked at Starbucks or gotten a job that wasn't aligned with me. Not that there's anything wrong with working at Starbucks at all. I just don't do early mornings. I could have done something that wasn't aligned with me. I could have, but I didn't. I decided, and I said, who do I want to be? What is my calling? What am I supposed to be doing with my energy, my time, the love that I am? I decide who I want to be, who I am, and how I want to show up. And I can tell you, I know for sure, there are many of you in this room that would love to be authors, who would love to be coaches, who would love to be light workers, healers. It's creative. Part of the reason that you're drawn to this work is because that is like in you. And so write that down. I decide who I want to be and who I am. And if you want to decide it, feel the difference between what indecision feels like and fear and not worthy, and what I'm doing this feels like. Done deal. And I'm going to go the distance and do what it takes to get aligned and decide. Get aligned and move forward. Okay? I decide who I want to be. And by the way, how does that feel? Tell me how that feels. Jessica Lynn, how does that feel to you? I'll call you out a little bit. Yes. Hey, Sharita. Awesome. Hello, hello, darling. All right. Tell me how that feels to say, I decide who I want to be. And if I'm not deciding that and I'm not standing in that, what's the point of this? Well, the point of this whole life experience is to show up in your unique vibrational love that you are, fingerprint of you. And when you make that decision, the universe says, oh, thank you. Let me send that to you. Let me send that to you. Powerful, right? Liberating. Hey, Kim. Hello, darling. Okay. Three. I'm a little bit out of. This is 2, this is 3, this is 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry, I'm a little out of order. Okay. Number 3. I decide how I see myself. Do you see how that might feel? Write it in the chat for me. I decide right now how I will choose to see myself. So you can either see yourself as weak, or you can see yourself as empowered. You can see yourself lining up with that vision of who you are, or you can see yourself, metaphorically, staying in your social work job, working 10 hours a week, thinking it's secure. Metaphorically speaking, that's all I mean. Okay? Metaphorically speaking, that's all I mean. Okay. All right, so you get to choose. How do I see myself? Okay? So it's really interesting because even though I was the 10 hours a week and I was afraid to leave, at some point I deemed myself, people would say, what do you do for a living? And I'd say, I'm a coach. I'm a life coach. They'd say, what's that? Is that a basketball coach? No, I said life coach. And then they would say, this is 1997 and up to 2010 or something like that. But I would be like, literally, I'd be working 40 hours a week and I'd say, I'm a coach. I decide how I see myself, okay? I decide how I see myself. You guys get to make that up. Do you know that? Do you know that you get to make it up as you go along? Do you know that you get to claim how you see yourself? So write down, how do I want to see myself? Do I want to see myself becoming the person that I need to be to manifest the dreams that I want? Or do I want to stay metaphorically in the 10 hours a week as a social worker, breaking out in hives because it was so stressful to quit? I still rallied, and I'm still so proud of myself, and so should you. But holy smokes, you guys, you don't have to do it that way. Okay. The fourth one, write this in the chat for me, please. Activate this down in the chat. I decide I matter. I decide I matter. And what do you think happens when you decide you matter? Wow, things open up. You get what you want. You get to do what you want. You get to be with who you want. You get to create your life the way you want, right? Your voice matters. Your opinion matters. Your impact matters. Your purpose matters. Your being matters. You matter, matter, matter. And when you decide that you matter, everything changes, right? They say, there's this quote that goes around, and I actually just posted it not too long ago. It probably inspired me a little bit, or the universe was like putting breadcrumbs down on the path, but I have this on my business page. It's oh gosh. When you decide, hold on. Oh, I'm not gonna find it now. Let me pull it out of my brain. When you decide, like, the universe shows up to make it happen, right? Basically. And, you know, it's like a powerful quote. And so when you say, I decide I matter, all of a sudden, the opportunities and the things and the events and the synchronicities actually start moving in toward you because you matter. And when you matter to yourself, you're magnetic. But you have to decide that. And I know that I understand, guys. I mean, I get that change is hard. You know, I get it. I mean, I get that it's hard to be living in this world and not have I always called it your matter buttons. When your matter buttons don't get pushed, right? Like, and owning that yourself and not caring what the rest of the world is doing. However, it is worth the time it takes you to rewire this and start living from this place, speaking it, doing your alignment work, showing up for you because you matter. You do your work, you do this manifestation work because you matter, right? It's deep self-love and appreciation. And when you do it because you matter to yourself and you are worthy of it, and dang it, because I matter, that's it. It's like the universe shows up and gives you events that match that vibration. You matter. Of course you matter. In fact, you matter so much to yourself. We're going to send you off to do the thing that you need to do to light the purpose that you've been waiting to light up. But you got to get in here first, right? How does that feel to say that, you guys? I decide to matter. Okay. So this fifth one, this is a little goddess rising here, but I want you to write this down. I decide who, I decide what, and I decide when. We are all too often, for lack of better words, pulled around and pushed around by others in our life. And we are chronic accommodators. And I want you guys to accommodate just a little bit less. I mean, I am all about kindness and generosity and compassion and showing up because there's enough of me to go around. But what I don't dig is when the world is sort of pushing you around and you're just cleaning up after everybody and accommodating for everybody. So I decide who, what, and when. Write that down. I decide that. I decide who I spend my time with. I decide what I do, and then I decide when I do it. That is my decision. And I was born deserving to make those decisions. And I am going to be very definite in these decisions. Can you guys feel me on this? When you're definite in your decision, when you have certainty, right? It changes you. It changes your frequency. It makes you a vibrational match to your greatness. And it's not that you have to walk around feeling like, oh God, kind of bitchy about it, right? I'm just going to say it like it is. You don't have to walk being bitchy about it. You walk around simply owning it because you deserve that, because that's what you get to do. We forget, I get to choose. And we walk around thinking we have to do everything for everybody, and we come last, and before we know it, the cup is empty and we're vibrating in scarcity consciousness and wonder why we can't manifest the love of our life, or we can't manifest the prosperity that we want, or we can't manifest, we say, I've heard this in the last couple of days, people have said, I've heard it say, it's not working yet. I'm like, don't focus on the measuring of what's working. Like, love yourself, show up for yourself, stand in your choice, in your decision, get empowered by these words tonight, because you deserve to live there. You know what I mean? Do you guys know that you deserve to make as much money as you desire? Is that okay? Like, somebody needs to say, we hold the space for limitlessness here. Somebody needs to say, there's a place to walk into where everything is possible. Doesn't that feel good? I mean, I'm never going to say to you as your coach, I'm never going to say, I believe in your limit. Let's keep making that up because it serves. It doesn't. It doesn't. So we're going to go to this place of, I decide, right? Tell me if this resonates with you guys. I'm going to decide. Let me just feel the vibration of these things. I decide. Me. I decide from now on. I decide who I want to be, who I am. I decide how I see myself. I decide I matter. I decide who, what, and when. And I decide what I want to create. And I do that. And I line up from that place of decision. I decide and I line up. Sometimes it goes like this. I line up and then I decide. Okay? There's no right or wrong in that. It would depend on a few things. That doesn't matter right now. What I want you to hear is that there is this power in the decision, and what decision do you need to make today? Okay? So, one more thing before, what time is it? Okay. Ooh, I can sure talk a lot. Okay, this is the most important thing, and I kind of alluded to this a little bit. Tell me first, though, are you guys like enjoying this tonight? Tell me if this is resonating with you. So when I wear white, I can't see the words very well on my live stream. Kim, I decide who, what, and when. I'm seeing woohoo. Okay. Suzette, yes, I had this happen today. Good. This resonates. Give me, yes, drop me the love and some hearts if you're feeling me on this. Sharita Allen, darling, I love how this feels. Decide who, I decide what I do, I decide when I do it. You decide your frequency, you know that? You can decide your frequency. You can decide the vision. You can decide what you want your vision to look like. You get to decide who you're becoming. You get to decide how you be pulled into another dimension of operating in a place that you never thought you'd operate from, right? There's always space for evolution in the decision, and starting right here with decision, right? So yeah, we are activating this space. That's why I'm making you guys write it down, Kim. Like, put it down. Words activate. Language activates. Can you feel the vibration of this space? I want to hold this huge space for you because I don't want you doing what I did. Staying too long. Or being in indecision. And indecision being a match. Do you feel that? To your, it's like emotional clutter, right? It's negativity. It's scarcity. It's fear. It's not enoughness. We're done with that, right? And guess what? You can decide that. So Cynthia and Jennifer, hello loves. Oh my gosh, I love you guys. Hey Tammy, awesome. Oh, okay, so when you are here, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I want you to hear me on this. I want you to make all decisions, whether that means to buy a new car, to up-level your career, to step into a different state and live there, to travel across the country, to do whatever you need to decide. I want you to do that from the vision of where you want to be. That's what I want for you. I can tell you so many times, Tim and I have this discussion all the time. We talk about the decisions that we want to make and the struggles that we have making that decision. And consistently we say, through our current lens, okay? Through our current lens, but let's make this decision based on the vision of who we want to be, So we're trying to like seed this to you guys tonight too. You have to make decisions, not based on your current situation. You want to make your decision for who you're becoming, your future. It's like, who do I want to become? I'm going to make a decision. What kind of coach do I want to become? I'm going to make that decision. What kind of impact do I want to have with you guys? I'm going to make that decision like from not who I am today, because she's a little scared sometimes, but I'm going to make that decision from her over there And that's my strongest self. That's my most evolved self. That's the most evolved vision of myself that I can possibly conjure up. What is that? And then I decide today. And I'll tell you guys, it is scary as heck sometimes to make a decision from where I want to be, or a decision based on who I want to become. But it's mind-blowing when you do. And it is the most liberating conversation that you could have with yourself or another when you say, it kind of sucks because the current perspective is here, but let's make a choice to evolve anyway, because the fear does nothing except cause indecision, and it causes us to create stuckness. How long? I don't know, a long time. Way too long. It also creates hives and anxiety and all the things. So I want to tell you guys, fast forward on that story. I came back, I tripled my income, and I stepped into this like amazing, I'm a 6-figure coach. Oh my God. It was like amazing to me back then. I was like I was blown away in that. I just like, I couldn't believe, like, I make a living doing what I love so much, being who I am. I love this so much. But I remember sitting in the bathtub one night. It was 6 months later. I was completely rocking it out. And I had practiced the vibration of indecision so long, there was a part of my brain that felt like I was still employed at the other place. Kid you not. So I was constantly waiting for the phone to ring. I had practiced that vibration so long. My ego was like, yeah, I don't know. We really shouldn't be operating from that future self because, things can fall through. We need security wrapped up in working for somebody else. I actually literally had to unravel myself. And let me tell you, the 99% of me was free. I was free, and I was like free to create, free to do it my way, free to be who I am, free to create the impact that I wanted to create in the way that I wanted to create it. I was free. But there was that tiny little part of me that wanted to stay rooted. I was long gone 6 months later, and I'm sitting there going, I'm just waiting for the phone to ring. I probably have a crisis tonight, don't I? Don't I have some crisis that I need to manage tonight? Human beings are funny that way. And so the sooner that you can get on your decisions and hold them dear to your heart and embrace them in a way that makes you a different person, even if it's in your future, the faster you get there every single time. Every single time. So I am grateful for the day that my boss said to me, and the universe pushed me out and said, your job description is about to change, and it's not what you signed up for, but you get in anyway. Sorry, bye. And I was like, no, sorry, bye. I decide now. And from that time, you guys, I have, really been very clear on the power of decision. It is a gateway to the rest of the alignment. You know what I mean? In Masters Academy and doing the quantum workshops and the Quantum Leap program, it's like we have to be in this decision process, right? But there's a few places that we have to go to first, right? And there's an alignment process, and there's a magnetic attraction process, and there's a coming into your wholeness process. There's transformation, and there's evolution, and there's manifestation, all those pieces as you're becoming more of who you are. But your gateway needs to look a little bit like this, right? I decide because I can, and I'm going to put it on the head of a pin, and I'm going to make some decisions, and I'm going to line up with the vision of my future self and make all my decisions from who she is already. Do you know she exists, right? You know he exists, right? It's just like getting them closer. That means bringing your future self and bringing your present self together. And it requires you to be in that space, making those decisions. They can impact everything. I decide who I want to be and who I am. And who in this room is going to make the decision. I decide how I see myself. And who in this room is going to decide that they matter. And who in this room is going to decide who, what, and when. And who in this room is going to make every single decision from here on out from her future self and from his future self, right? Not from where we are now, but from the lens of who I'm becoming. That's where we make our decisions, and that's where we line up with our most powerful selves, you guys. I mean, it is a phenomenal experience when you start operating from that. Life moves fast. And when you decide, the universe is like right there with that magnet energy bringing you the unfolding. So decide, guys. Decide, decide, decide. That is the power of decision, the infinite power of decision. You see, everything is energy. Everything is energy. All right, darlings. So if this resonated with you guys, I would love to have a conversation about how I can further this work with you. Just hashtag me below in the chat. I would love to have a conversation and see where you're at. If you're on the cusp of a transition, if you want to create something more, if you're ready to level up, if you want to dig into alignment and manifestation and transformation, and you know that your time is now, let me know. I would love to talk to you. Just hashtag me and I will reach out. All right, I adore you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your night. I hope this moved you, and if you are led to talk to me and led to have a conversation about the rest of the alignment work that we can do together, I would love that. I would love to get to a space of manifesting and quantum leaping and quantum life with you and living from that place. So I'll see you guys later. Bye for now. Mwah.